Hi there. So I'm going to fuse both scene 2 and scene 3 from Act 4 together. Basically, in Act 4, scene 2, Capulet, Lady Capulet, the nurse, are together, and Juliet comes in after leaving Friar Lawrence's cell. So, as you all know, that conversation ended with the Friar Lawrence advising Juliet to take the vial that will put her in a temporary deep sleep that will seem like death. And we see in this particular scene that Capulet is still using really harsh words against Juliet. He says, he calls her a peevish, self-willed harlotry, regarding her behavior. And we learn that when Juliet comes back, she says that she has repented of her sin, because of her disobedience, and she pardons herself and she says, henceforward I am ever ruled by you. Now the Elizabethan audience I don't think they would have been really shocked by this sort of language used by Lord Capulet, because they would have probably sided with him in light of the fact that arranged marriages was something that was orchestrated in their day and time. However, given that they're all different members of people from different parts of society at the Globe watching this play, they would have all different reactions to it. So, by the end of Act 4, Scene 2, the Capulet seems to be satisfied by Juliet's submission, and is glad that she has come to her senses and has decided to marry Paris. So obviously we know that him driving her to this point has led her to this point. So if you are going to use your essay to blame Capulet, this might be another scene that you can consider. So let's talk about Act 4, Scene 3. In this scene, Juliet is going to bed, and it's the night before her wedding, or her supposed wedding, with Paris. After excusing Lady Capulet from her room, Juliet is left by herself, and we find her in this dramatic monologue, and she starts to talk about what might happen if this all doesn't work. She starts to question, the friar's integrity. What if he has ministered to have her actually dead because, he's brought shame upon himself by marrying Romeo? And, she considers, like, what if, she's at the tomb and, Romeo comes to wake her and she doesn't wake up? Or what if she wakes up and, she starts to wake up but then she's strangled by death, and, these sorts of things. And so she's, pondering what would happen if this whole thing fails to work. And she, starts talking about, what might happen if she just, lost her mind and, she woke up and she wasn't in her sound mind anymore and she dashed her own brains out, and that sort of thing. But in the end, she decides to drink the vial. She ends that dramatic monologue by saying, Romeo, 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 here's drink, I drink to thee. And so if you're using Juliet as your reason why she's responsible for her own death, well, this is the scene where she takes her own life.